Hello YouTube, feliz año. Really quick video, and that is going to be the last part of my 2021 reading adventure. I did a really big reading book compilation video right after I left Germany. Obviously, I was stuck in. How long was I stuck in Germany? I wasn't stuck, I was still traveling a little bit, but I went back to Germany to actually get my work visa. I don't know why I find that a really difficult sentence to say. Work visa for the job I was supposed to have in Chile, which ended up falling through. Actually, the job still wanted me, but there was too many problems with the visa, with Corona. The embassy kept closing down, and then Chile closed its borders, and then I got the job here in Ecuador. Anyway, so I had a long time where I wasn't working at the beginning of the year, somewhere from like February till August. I wasn't working. February to March, March into April, April to May, May to June, June to July. Yeah, so 6 months of this year I didn't even work. So I had a lot of time to read, and I did a big book. I did a big book review of all the books I read during that time. Maybe I'll link that underneath this one. And then I moved to Ecuador, and I actually didn't do a lot of reading at all. So you guys are on, there was only 5 more books that I read in the year 2021. This is actually pretty normal for me because when I first moved to a new country, obviously I'm much more interested in exploring the place where I'm living and doing all kinds of new and exciting adventurous stuff. And I'm probably not going to be doing an excessive amount of reading. Lately, I've been more in a reading mood already. Actually, what is today? The 3rd of January? The 4th? No, the 4th of January, and I already read a book. I'm more in a reading mood, and I've seen a lot of Quito at this point. So there's not as much exploring, so I'm assuming I'll probably be getting more into reading. I don't know why I'm telling you guys all of this. You don't care. So let's get into it. What did I still read in the year 2021? First, because you guys know I don't like editing and I don't want to insert pictures because I'm lazy. So here's a picture on my phone. I read this book on Kindle. Actually, I read this before I moved to Ecuador, but I forgot to put it into the book review in Germany. Because I actually very, 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 very rarely read on Kindle. I don't enjoy it at all. I want the books physically in my hand. God, this pimple is just not healing. It's driving me crazy. Yeah. And this book is called, oh, by the way, I don't go in order. Well, sometimes I do. I don't know. I don't have a lot of consistency when it comes to my book reviews. This time I'm going to go in the order that I read the books, not necessarily in the order of how I like them. Sometimes I go in the order of how I like them. That probably is something I do more when I have a lot of books to review, but since there's only 5, I'm not going to do that. So this book is called Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica, probably butchering the last name, who is an Argentinian writer. I'm going to give the book a C. It was really short as far as I remember. I'm already struggling remembering it. I know. Okay. So, oh, by the way, I'm not a spoiler-free channel. Just so you guys know, if any of these books interest you, you probably shouldn't watch mine because I just kind of babble and say whatever I think. I always forget to mention that I don't. Sometimes I spoil the book, sometimes I don't. For this book, if I remember correctly, the storyline was that animals, there was some kind of pathogen and animals were getting sick. And actually, I don't remember if it turned the animals. I feel like if I remember correctly, it turned the animals violent. So the animals were like attacking humans and stuff. So they overall started killing off all the animals. And with there not being enough animals anymore, humans turned to cannibalism. That was the premises of the book. And the main character falls in love with a woman who was actually meant to be one of the lower class humans who was meant for consumption and not have human rights. So it was kind of like this weird, twisted love story of the man who is in a higher level of society falling in love with what was meant to be just a human meant for consumption. Uh, and I feel like I remember reading it, and it was a unique storyline in that sense. I haven't read something like that before. But the fact that I'm kind of struggling to remember even what it was about tells me that it was a C. Yeah. Okay, then I read Future Home of the Living God by Louise Erdrich. It looks like this. I bought this book here in Quito, and I was really attracted to the cover. I had no idea what I was getting into when I first bought the book. This book is also a C, although it has a relatively unique storyline. In this book, uh, humans are not evolving. What is the opposite of evolving? Devolving? No. De-evolution? What is the opposite of evolution? Well, they're not evolving, they're devolving. I don't think that's a word. Devolving? Is that a word? Regressing in evolution, where and humanity is trying to figure out why this is happening, but especially women who are pregnant are being rounded up by society because the children that they're giving birth to, not all children, but the vast majority of women who are pregnant are giving birth to children who are one step backwards in the evolutionary chain. And doctors are doing experiments on these babies and trying to figure out why this is happening, and society is panicking because we don't want to regress into an earlier state of society. Along with that, also the main character, she's Native American. I think this takes place in Canada, if I remember correctly. I already forgot. Canada or the northern parts of the United States, like Montana or something. And she was adopted by a white couple, so there's also a little bit of this woke stuff going on in terms of how she's struggling to identify with her Native American roots, and you know how white people took her away, even though she says that she loved her adoptive parents, but how they weren't able to give her the what she needed in terms of being a Native American or something like that. I don't know. I forgot, like, because all that woke stuff didn't interest me at all. Writing was okay. I think it took too long. I feel like this could have been a stronger novel if they, from the start, had just said what the problem was in terms of the people regressing in evolution. But they don't. They kind of, it's almost more like a handmaiden's tale in the way it's written, in that you're not really understanding why all these pregnant women are being rounded up and being sent to special clinics, and what's going on and why is this happening. It's all kind of a mystery. And just at the very end, maybe like in the last third, they mention the fact that this de-evolution is happening, and that's the reason it's happening. Oh, and she's also pregnant. Did I mention that already? So she's Native American, and she's also pregnant. And she's also worried that they're going to come for her baby. Yeah, the writing, I didn't care for the writing, and I think the story was a little too long-winded in my opinion. So I don't know, it wasn't terrible. It was a C. Then I read this book, Den Mund voll ungesagter Dinge, which translates roughly into, the literal translation would be the mouth full of unsaid things. Don't think you would say that in English. All the things that were unsaid, the things unsaid between us, maybe is how you would translate that into English. Eine Freytag This is a coming to age novel, lesbian love story, teenagers, angsty. Mm, Also a sea of, I don't know, what else should I say about it? Girl moves into a new house in a new city, and there's the neighbor girl, and they become friends, and at some point they realize that they actually like each other more than friends and become girlfriends. And I guess there's like some small level drama going on. Writing is okay, it's cute. In probably 6 months, I'm not really gonna remember anything about the plot like I did like the other two books I've read so far. Yeah, see. Then this book was actually in my classroom here in Quito, and I was like, I'm gonna take it home and I'm gonna read it. This is middle grade. It's called The Night Diary with Veera. The author is Veera Hiran Hiranandani. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm sorry. I read this together with my YouTube crush. Uh, so he, I think, probably downloaded it on Kindle, and we read like one or two chapters every night and then talked about it. As far as I remember, he enjoyed the book more than I did. I hated the main character who was this. So, what is this book about first? This book is about the. When was this already? I already forgot. Man, I forgot everything about all these books. Obviously, none of these books really. Like, I think all the books are going to be C's. Maybe the last book's going to. Actually, is this a C or is this maybe. This might even be a D. It's like right on the cusp of being a C and a D. I already forgot. This is actually historical, so I should know when this takes place. Maybe I'm gonna cheat. Okay, in the 1940s, and it's the split up of Pakistan and India. For those of you guys who don't know, Pakistan and India used to all belong to Greater India when it was still a colony of the British Empire. When the Brits like left that part, there was some kind of agreement written up. Here's where my history understanding of history is also lacking. I forget why. Um, I mean, I know that it was split up because the part of what is now Pakistan was predominantly Muslim, and the part of that is India is predominantly Hindu. Uh, I don't remember if that was the only reason why. I feel like there was probably other reasons why these two places decided to split into two countries. Um, the story is about a family that is living in what is nowadays Pakistan, right during the split up, and there's a lot of tensions between the Muslims and the Hindus, and because they are Hindus, they are being forced out of Pakistan into what is India, and it like living in what is nowadays Pakistan becomes increasingly dangerous till one day they decide to flee Pakistan and go into India. The concept of that I thought was really interesting. It's a part of history that I'm clearly not as well versed in as I should be. Uh, so I was like, oh, that seems interesting. I don't know that much about the split up of Pakistan and India, so this might. But so the main characters are a brother and sister, and their family who are fleeing. The book is written in first person from the sister's perspective, and I thought the book would be a little bit more political, but it ended up being just more about the little girl, and I don't know. I didn't think the struggle seemed that intense. Like there was a couple of days where she was like, "I'm hungry and I wish we had more to drink," but they managed to like cross over into India relatively easy. I felt like there was a couple of short bits where like the train was stopped or something, but I don't know. It didn't seem as intense, and I really didn't like the character of the brother. The brother, oh, the oh. Like, I kind of thought maybe for a little bit they were going to make the brother be gay because they kept saying, like, how he's really sensitive and he's an artist. And maybe there was going to be some drama about gay in the 1940s or something like that. But he turned out not to be gay. He just was a sensitive. And he was honestly a crybaby. And he made life much harder for everybody else in the book because he wouldn't follow the rules and because they were trying to sneak out of Pakistan and it was kind of dangerous. He just was, I don't know, I really didn't care for the brother. He just drove me crazy. I don't know. I don't know, but that time in history, I think it could have been more interesting if there would have been more of the politics and struggle of the split up would have been in the book and a little less of the very non-interesting family drama, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay, and the book that I read on this vacation I was just on in Venezuela and Panama, and I finished it right before the new year. A very well-known book, The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. Zusak? I don't know, is this a B or a C? I feel like this is going to be a C for me as well. I don't know. I don't know how like, it's really weird to me. So anybody who's actually watched any of my booktube videos knows that I actually always say that the kind of books I generally am most attracted to are fiction, but realistic fiction that tends to be very melancholy. And that is exactly what this book is. It's actually very melancholy, and it is realistic fiction. So you would think I would have full on fallen in love with this book. But I didn't. The book has an experimental writing style, which by no means was bad. It was definitely not bad. But I feel like it maybe wasn't for me. It didn't get me excited into the story or pulled me into the story as much as I would have liked. Yeah, so what's this book about? I mean, almost everybody knows what this book is about. This book takes part in Nazi Germany. The main character is a little girl called Louise, and she has a in the very beginning of the book, her mother gives her up for adoption. We find out later that is a forced adoption, because her mother is an undesirable in Nazi Germany times, and she ends up with this married couple that you could argue is the mother is abusive. You could argue, I don't know, in the book it's kind of like she loves her mother and the mother is harsh and the mother is kind of like deep down she's a good person, but she is definitely, in my opinion, kind of abusive towards her. But she really has a good relationship with the father, becomes very close to him, and yeah, she steals books and then reads them, and I don't know. Considering the book is called The Book Thief, I feel like the fact that she steals some books and reads them is very much a secondary aspect of the story. I think it would have been, for me, more pleasurable if she had been described as like a prolific reader and she loves reading, and because she just can't afford books, she's stealing them all the time and just absorbing them. But she's actually she's described as somebody who's very weak in reading. And it seems that she's more, in my opinion, the way it came across to me, she's more attracted to the idea of stealing the books than necessarily that she is a lover of reading. Yeah, what else can I say without being too spoiler? Okay, it's one of the things that a lot of people seem to love about the book is that it's narrated by death. So obviously during Nazi Germany times and World War II times, there is a lot. Like he kind of goes in and out of Lisa's life because there's a lot of deaths surrounding her, and that way he kind of always has insight into her life. So he's narrating her life through the fact that there's always death in her life, and he's around her because of that happening. Uh, I don't know. I was not able to get into this book. Like I definitely don't think it's a bad book. I think the writing is very strong. I think the experimental writing style is actually pretty good. Uh, but like I actually watched after I finished the book, something I like doing when I finish the book is I like going on BookTube and watching videos on what other people thought about the book. And first I watched Murphy Napier, who's a BookTuber I really like. I watched her review, and she also said that she wasn't able to really get into it as much as everybody else. But then I watched another booktuber who I don't normally watch, and I forgot her name already. I'm sorry. And the thing that she said, I was like, I wonder if that's also why I couldn't get into it. And she said something really clever. She's like, okay, if death was going to stop and take notice of somebody, like this is death, death, like I would imagine like God or something, like I feel like you would have to be a really unique and interesting and amazing human being for death to actually take notice of you, right? Like wow, this, and Lisa just isn't. She's just not anything special or unique or interesting, at least not the way she's written in the book. So it's a little bit weird that death of all people in the world decided to take special interest in her, of all people. Like from all the thousands, from all the millions and millions of people in the world, he could have, or she, I don't know, that it could have taken notice of, for death to then be so caught up in Lisa. Just, I think maybe in and of itself just doesn't make sense to the book, because it's like, she's not an interesting character, in my opinion. Like again, it's well written. It's a different book. It's a different plot or story from what a lot of books are. But Lisa is not an interesting character. Like, okay, so yeah, I don't want to give away too many spoilers. So I think like the other booktuber mentioned that, and when she said that, I was like, you're right. It's like we're following this character of Lisa, but she's just boring. She's like, I think she's 8 in the beginning of the book. 6, 8. Oh, I already forgot. And yeah, her life is hard, but considering the hardships a lot of people had to go through, especially Jewish people in Nazi Germany, is her life that hard? Is her life that unique? Is her life that interesting? I don't know. So I don't know. For me, it's a C as well. Yeah. So somehow I managed to make a 25-minute video out of 5 books. Don't know how I did that. Yeah, but that's the books. That and the video I'll link below are all the books I read in 2021. I have no idea how many those were, because I didn't rewatch the book thing. Yeah, and that's it. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a great Christmas and New Year, and I will talk to you guys soon. Actually, very soon, because I filmed 2 videos while I was in Venezuela, and I just need to upload those, and those I actually have to do a little bit of editing, and you guys know I hate editing, but once I get motivation to do so, then I will upload those. Yeah. All right. Take care.